Hi everyone, welcome to this video of the animation series. Animation is a month-long challenge in May that I am putting out to you guys to learn different styles of animation each week and share your stories and science. Learn a different tool to help you communicate your research, your work, or just what's going on in your brain. That's what this month is all about. This video is supposed to be in a vlog style. If you watched last week's challenge was flipbooks, and I kind of vlogged the difficult process of getting to grips with actually doing a flipbook, which you can see linked up in that video above. But this week isn't going to be on a vlog style video because I realised that animating on a computer has two very different key elements, which has led to this. One, you have the ability to put on a dressing gown that has stars on it and makes you feel like a wizard, and sit on your settee and animate while you watch lots of Disney films, which I took over sitting at this art desk and putting real clothes on and animating for this entire challenge. So I didn't actually get the camera out to vlog because I was really enjoying the comfort that you can get when you do computer animation, which is something very different to the flipbook animation. Also, I found that computer animation, it's much easier for you to develop a story. So I found that I could actually kind of piece together a 30-second story, and one of the great things about doing the story is you get addicted. I was addicted to trying to get this story finished, to see what it looked like in the end, to see if it worked. And that's what I did. I kind of just spent many an hour in a row just getting this done rather than focusing on the vlog itself, which I think really speaks a lot about the different styles of animation and how this style of animation is a lot different and may appeal or not appeal to a lot more people, depending on if you like sitting down and animating for the long haul. We're going to split this video into basically two sections. One being what to look out for when you're computer animating something for science communication, for telling your story, broad general tips and tricks. The second half of this video is going to be a bit more specific, and we're going to look at Procreate, which is the app that I used on my iPad Pro to animate my animation. And then on Wednesday, so tomorrow, you'll get the video of what I have actually animated, the entire thing, and some great information on what the animation is all on, the science behind it. So firstly, something you can consider with this is that you have the ability to put a background in. Now, having a background to your animation really helps, especially if the animation is short, because it instantly puts that person into your world and helps get that message across really quickly. The other great thing about a background is you don't have to draw it. It can be a photograph, which is what I have chosen to do. Now, putting a photograph in of a zoomed in picture of a rock pool, I think has really helped show that what I'm going to be animating are small, tiny things in a rock pool. You can instantly get the size of the creatures and you can instantly get the location without really any effort whatsoever but finding a picture. So that's something for you guys to think about, but it would also look amazing if you love art, love background drawing, and can draw an animation background with it, which would just be, incredible. But photograph option is out there. You can also consider if you want voices and music. You can export these computer animations as a movie, put them into a movie editor, even something like Windows Movie Maker, and add voiceovers and sound effects and music to kind of enhance your animation. If you want to do something maybe about a bird call or something about something that specifically makes noise and you have access to record that noise or get it off of a free, royalty-free kind of place, then that might be something you consider before starting your animation, or as you go along, if you think it's necessary, you can put it in at the end. Places to get your music, you need to make sure that what you're getting is basically royalty free and you're able to share and edit and use in your videos. The best place to go for this is actually YouTube Music in a creator. So if you have a YouTube account, you can actually go to Creator Studio, which is a little button up by your icon, and in that you have a separate section which is basically YouTube Music, not the music app of YouTube where you listen to music, but YouTube have a library of royalty-free music that you can use, and any music in there is you can use and edit. Some have little captions that you need to say, we use this bit of music, and you just copy and paste the text that YouTube gives you and put that at the bottom of wherever you're sharing it. You don't have to only share this music on YouTube, I don't think, and that's where I found the easiest place to get it. You can also search for royalty-free music, but the Creative Commons licensing changes per song, and it can get a bit confusing and complex, and you don't really want to accidentally share something that you're not supposed to be sharing, so I would say YouTube Music is the easiest place that I've found. Like I said before, you can come up with a story. This is your time to really get a 30-second little narrative and kind of punch in the science. In our video that we spoke to Andrea, the animator. Andrea is an animator who I spoke to, and she spoke about all these amazing things about animation, giving us the best tips and tricks. Again, go and check that out. It's a great video to watch for anyone who just wants to listen to an incredible woman know exactly what she's talking about. But in that, she said that in the UK, for professional animations, it's 25 frames per second. In about an hour, not even an hour, maybe 10 minutes into this challenge, I realised that you were never going to get 25 frames per second. It's obviously something great to do, but obviously we're not of the professional calibre. You might go for 25 frames per second if you have the patience, but I chose to use not 25 but 2 frames per second, and I came up with a 30-second video. It took me, I think, about 6 hours to animate, so exponentially increase that, you get what 25 frames per second. It's a bit too much, but with 2 frames per second, I don't think it looks terrible. It's definitely jumpy, but that's kind of the animation style, and it totally works. And you can also use great tips and tricks when doing stuff digitally, because you can select, copy, paste. I was copying and pasting the snail that I was using and just moving its eyes and moving its foot so that it looked like it was moving along. I didn't bother touching anything else because I didn't need to. Only focus in animation on exactly what you need to do, which is a great actual scientific communication method. I spoke about it with the flipbooks, is that it helps you distill down exactly what's important to that animation, because really at the end of the day, if you're going to be spending hours animating something that doesn't matter, you're going to notice, because you're going to quickly be like, oh, why am I even bothering moving this shell, because does it really matter? And if it doesn't, and it's not important to the storyline, then you're going to know. And it's a great way to kind of, I suppose, fine-tune your own scientific communication by realising exactly what bits you need to punch in and communicate, and leaving out the waffle and faff that you don't need to include for the rest of it. So the next bit of this video, I'm going to go and voice over me working through my animation. It's going to be Procreate specific, just because that's the app that I used to do this animation, but it still may be relevant for people not using Procreate, just to see, I suppose, my techniques of copying and pasting and seeing how I'm setting everything up. But it would be extra useful if you are part of Procreate, so I would go check that out. So I chose to import a photo into Procreate and to draw over the front of that. So I've got the background of the photograph on one layer, and then the black outline of the animals on another layer. Then when I go to fill it in with white, that is on a separate layer, which just helps everything kind of stay separated and makes it look cleaner. So now we've got those 3 layers, it's time to turn on Animation Assist, which is the animation helping software that Procreate has recently added to its program. Brings up the bar at the bottom, which shows you the frames, and this kind of correlates to each layer. To make more than one layer go into just one flip frame, you have to group them, which you can do by holding them down and dragging them next to each other, which adds them into groups. So now all of those 3 layers, it's just one frame in our animation that we can kind of group together and duplicate the whole of that group so that they all appear in the next frame, and then we can start to edit away. There are also options in the animation assist. So onion skin is the ability to see the frames before and after. So by whacking down the opacity means you can see what you're drawing a bit better but still see the frames before, and you can choose if you want how many frames before and after you want to see. Making sure to click on the right bit of layer, you can then use the select tools to grab the outline and grab the white and move the snail or whatever object you're using forward a bit, and then you can start to edit away at what bits you actually want to change to move. Now when I've moved them, you can kind of see that the shell has got like a shadow behind it. That's the onion skin showing me where the snail is in the previous frame to help you kind of guide you with the animation. I found that once I'd moved it, I really did want the onion skin opacity to kind of go down, just so that it was easier for me to see what I was doing on that layer rather than all the other layers. I then basically repeated this process an absolute ton of times, which is obviously the way with animation. Now what I would say with this is you do get a lot of different frames with and groups and layers with this kind of method, especially in Procreate, but there's lots of different ways to get around that. One of them is holding the duration of a frame. So rather than duplicating it if it's exactly the same, then down below you can press hold, and that kind of frees up some of the layers that you have in your groups. And the reason this is useful is because you do have a limit on your layers with Procreate. I think it's 91, depending on what type of iPad you have. And so I actually did this animation in 2 different files so that I could go to double 91 frames. But there's also ways to make it easier. As you can see here, I've got like a zoomed in part of my background, but there is a button in settings that lets you put something specifically as a background so that it's just one layer that it takes up and isn't attached to every single group to become that background. You can also do the same thing with something that is in the foreground. I chose not to do that just because as the animation goes on, and you'll see in the final one, I changed the background a bit and just found it easier to keep it the same. When you're happy with the animation, all that's left to do is press the little spanner, press share, and go and save it and export as an animated MP4. Select the frames per second, export, and then when it gives you the option, you can share it however you want. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. I really appreciate you giving up your time, and hopefully you found that interesting. I'd love to see your computer animations, your scientific communication, or just your stories. Please tag me or comment below any questions, and tag me on Twitter at Marine Mumbles so that you can share your amazing creations. I really look forward to seeing them. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye guys.